Ni hao, Yan Yan food tubers, or I should say, g'day, because today I'm making an Australian classic, the Lamington, which is a sponge cake covered in chocolate icing and desiccated coconut. First of all, you'll need one of these. This is a 35 centimetre by 24 centimetre, 3 centimetre deep sponge form tin, and I'm going to show you how to line it. Let's get started. So here I have a piece of baking paper which fits over the size of the tray, making sure that it comes up to the side. Then I'm going to make sure it's even. I'm going to cut into each corner like so. Hold the edges up, and this way it will make sure that it fits inside and fully lines my tin. And just to make sure that nothing sticks, I've got a little bit of butter on my greaseproof paper here. I'm just going to give it a quick little grease, and that'll help make the paper stick to the bottom and the sides. Making sure it's all nice and even. If you like, you can just trim around the edges. So there we have my fully lined Lamington sponge tin base. So let's see what ingredients we need for that sponge cake. So for the sponge cake mixture, you will need 185 grams of softened butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1.5 cups of caster sugar, 4 eggs, and 2.5 cups of sifted self-raising flour. Now the reason we sift the flour like this is to put some air into it so it makes the sponge nice and light and fluffy. You will also need 1 cup of milk. And now we're ready to bake my sponge cake. Into a mixer, I've got my 185 grams of butter, my sugar, and my vanilla extract. Now all we have to do is cream them until they're nice and light and fluffy. Now, using my spatula, scrape down the beaters and the sides, making sure that all my butter and all my sugar is well creamed together and light and fluffy, and the sugar is dissolved. Now you'll know when sugar and butter is well creamed because it should be the one creamy colour. You can still see there that some of it's got that darker yellow colour and then others got that lighter colour. We want to get it to that lighter colour consistency. Now that's been about 10 minutes. Now it's time to add my eggs one at a time. And make sure after you've added each egg that you allow it to be mixed right through thoroughly, one at a time. So that was my last egg. Now I'm just going to let that mix and beat for a further 5 minutes. Perfect, that's now nice, light, creamy and fluffy. On with the next part, which is to add my sifted flour and my milk. So now I'm going to add half the flour, and I'm going to mix that in very slowly and very gently, fold it into the mixture until combined. So that flour's now been mixed in. So I'm going to put half the milk in, just mix it through until it's well combined. In with the last of my flour, and in with the last of my milk. Now all we have to do is to make sure it's well mixed through. So there's my mixture. That's ready to go into my pre-prepared sponge tin. Make sure you get all of it out into the tin, and then just want to smooth it out into all the corners. Make sure it's evenly spread. So there we go, there's my sponge, my Lamington sponge, ready for the oven. So into the oven, 180 degrees for about 30 minutes. I'm a little bit concerned that it's getting a bit too much colour on the top. I'm just going to slip a little piece of baking paper over the top, and that'll stop it from burning. And I love making cakes because I get to lick the spoon. So that's now had 30 minutes in the oven. I'm just going to check it to see if it's ready. I'm just going to remove that piece of paper. And with a wooden skewer, just going to pull it out, and if it comes out clean, which it has, that's ready to go. Now, I'm going to let that sit in the pan for about 10 minutes just to cool down, and then I'll turn it out onto my wire cooling rack. So now, my sponge has been cooling for 10 minutes in the pan, and now it's time to turn it out. And we just slowly peel the paper off on all the sides. Oh, just carefully. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. So I've just popped my sponge cake into the fridge to make sure it's nice and cold for ready for decorating later on. Woohoo! So my Lamington sponge has been in the fridge for about 2 to 3 hours. Let's get icing. So the first thing I have to do is to cut my Lamington sponge into even squares. Take a sharp serrated edge knife. I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to cut it into thirds, each half. Just try and get as even as you can. Whoop. And I'm going to cut it this way, half in half. And then in half again. Don't worry too much if they aren't completely even. So to make the chocolate icing, I'm sifting 3½ cups of icing sugar into a bowl, along with 1/4 cup of good quality cocoa powder. Give it that nice, rich, chocolatey flavour. And 1 tablespoon of softened butter. And that's ready to go. I'm just going to take my cake, dip it in to the chocolate. Make sure you cover it all. Drain off the excess into the coconut. Make sure you cover it all. And then onto my wire rack. So there we have my luscious Lamingtons. Now they'll just need to set for about an hour or so, and then we'll be able to tuck in. The Lamington, the humble Lamington. Let's try one. Mmm, delicious. Until next time, 再见.